rebounds. Normally that play gets overlooked, and unfortunately with Chris Paul, he's getting overlooked. Although he is the catalyst for
for the
why their team
for the
won the Western Conference last year, and then it's number one overall seed this year thus far.
mm-hmm. And looking toward a Western Conference final with Golden State. I mean,
Hmm.
we said that at the top of the year,
Oh yeah, they ain't changing.
and I'm not changing that. I'm doubling down. I'm doubling down on that.
But
So
what's that saying that we would always hear when we either participated in sports or was around people who were in sports, and they talked about how athletes don't need to get down on one play or one game. They say this statements that says, quote, it's a marathon, not a sprint, close quote. And a
isn't
lot of
it?
people seem to be
Isn't
caught
it
up in the sprint.
in the sprint?
Hmm.
Caught up in the sprint, not in the marathon.
Hmm.
This is how we're beginning our show today. I got Chris Dietz at the bottom of this hour to talk tone deaf Major League Baseball, and we'll start that next segment. And then I got Megan Price at the bottom of hour 2 to talk more NBA. But speaking of tone deaf, and thank you for that soundbite, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Speaking of tone deaf, these woke ass NBA fans are tone deaf, and I can't complete the phrase courtesy of Martin Lawrence, but I think you know the 3 words I want to add to it. I believe you know the 3 words I want to add to it.
Not only do I know the words, I'm hearing it the way Martin Lawrence would say it.
The deja vu line from House Party 2.
Hmm.
Yep, you know me well. All I can say is to edit it. All I can say is deja vu like a son bitch,
Hmm.
because people just don't freaking get it. They just don't. I just want to know why. No, I don't. Because if you give me a logical answer, I'll laugh, and then you'll laugh, and then we'll be off track.
I
Hell,
was
we're
gonna
gonna
say,
be
I
hell,
was
we're
gonna
gonna
say
be off
why
track
and
anyway.
what's
What the hell?
yeah. I was gonna say why in what sense in this case.
I can't do. I can't do it. I
Okay,
can't
all right.
do it. I wanna, but I can't. I'm we're trying to tighten this show up in terms of time because there are a few sponsors on the way. But Joel Embiid, Mr.
So
Glass's understudy.
so is this supposedly a retroactive MVP? Because
No,
remember, people were thinking that he was supposed to be deserving of the MVP last year, although Giannis definitely deserved it.
man,
Um,
Giannis outplayed everybody.
yeah,
Okay, can we just get that out of the way for you Joel Embiidites or
and
Embiid stands?
yeah,
Giannis
Gian,
outplayed everybody,
mhm.
period. About the only player that challenged Giannis in the final month of the season for MVP was Wardell Stephen Curry II because of an incredible April. Period.
Oh well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Y'all want to put some MVP candidates on the board? Megan and I, the 3 of us, Megan, Cole, and myself, will discuss this during hour 2. Let's give you a tease. How about DeMar DeRozan?
Most definitely deserves to be there.
How about DeMar DeRozan? You really want to put some MVP candidates on the table? Let's be real. You know Stephen Curry's on the table. In our
He's
book,
deserving.
Chris Paul is on the table.
Mm-hmm.
DeMar
He is.
DeRozan, Giannis. You damn well better
Yes,
put Giannis on the table because Giannis
got
is
to.
leading the Bucks back into not only contention but for a top seed in the Eastern Conference.
And he hasn't had his full complement of
Mm-mm.
his number 2 and 3. And the Bucks are still only one game away
One game
from the
away
top seed.
from the top seed. Matter of fact, the top 4 teams, the Heat, the Bulls, the Bucks, hell, just those top 3. Just
Oh,
those top 3.
oh, you are ice cold.
F the Nets, F the Sixers. I don't trust the Nets. I do not trust as I'm drinking this peppermint mocha next to me, which was homemade, by the way. Let me throw this plug out there. Dunkin' Donuts powers our morning. Want to get your morning started the right way? Then pop in a little Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Best flavors around. The original is the drink du jour of the day for yours truly, along with a little peppermint mocha cream. And that's how we get started. Someone gave me that idea to plug whatever we're eating or drinking during the show, so I'm running with it or whatever I use. While I'm plugging stuff, visit the shop, snowmaninthemorning.com/shop to get your best material to support the show. Milwaukee, Miami, Chicago. That's it. I'm not putting the Nets in that equation. I'm not.
Forget the Nets. He forget the
F
Sixers.
the Nets, F the Sixers. Now, you already know I'm going to get pushback for that. Ask me if I care.
Do you care, sir?
Hell no. Hell no.
Just so you can, so you can say that it was well worth my asking that question.
Y'all thought I was riled up yesterday. Wait till we bring baseball into the conversation. I'm riled up today.
Gosh,
I am riled up today, and not just the Hall of Fame F up either. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program, which I did not write down today or last night. I shut the computer off and I went to bed. I wanted to be sure I got a good night's sleep, so I took my medicine, I popped the Benadryl, kissed my wife goodnight, and we both were out. But why you want to put Joel Embiid in a conversation where he doesn't belong?
Well, you got to remember.
Let me repeat the question.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me repeat the question for these so-called woke-ass backwards NBA fans. Why do you want to put Joel Embiid in a conversation where he doesn't belong? I said that last year, and people came after me for it. I don't care.
Well, what you have to remember, the joy of seeing the 76ers be basically nothing. And then they rose from nothing to purposely tank a couple of years. I mean, to...
Oh, you said it right.
Fight through...
They tanked. No. Fight through nothing. We speak truth on this program just like you do on yours. They tanked for 4 consecutive years. They tanked. And the bad part is nothing came out of it.
And when they were pushed on it, the brass was saying, "Don't worry, trust the process."
Ass.
So we're seeing the continuation of the process being trusted because, Joel Embiid is not. He's just about in his prime, and we got to root for him.
I don't. Joel Embiid look. I'm going to say the coldest statement on this program since you and I have been together. Joel Embiid wasted his time in trusting the process, and that came to a head last spring.
Well, I can't really find any fault or lie on that one.
Joel Embiid's prime has been wasted by Philadelphia. Yeah, and Joel Embiid wants to be a company man and say Ben Simmons is our brother when he wanted to say something else in front of the camera, in front of the microphone. He wanted to say something else.
Yeah, the same word that you can't say now that Mark Lawrence said.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which should tell you everything that you need to know. We're going to go to a break real quick, but we're going to continue this conversation because it needs to be had and people need to see and hear everything about these false contenders in the Eastern Conference and about Joel Embiid in the process. Back in a minute.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Oh, yeah.
I thank you, my beautiful Dr. K. The Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook thing, official SIT Morn. That's official SIT Morn. Want to get in on the real fun? Then join our Patreon, because beginning next month, I'm going to release some daily snippets that you will not hear on this program. Going back to the NBA, that man in charge of... and the Snowman are here. And we were talking about trust the process before we went for a coffee break. What process? That you can tank for 4 years and still wind up getting players that aren't worth a damn? Ben Simmons, I'm talking directly to you.
Well, they thought that, they thought that.
And for that matter, Markelle Fultz, I'm talking directly to you.
Oh, you're definitely talking directly to him. But, they were thinking that this was their ticket. This was their golden ticket to prosperity.
I've seen better tickets on the 80s Sixers team that played at the Spectrum than this.
To be moribund for a while and then rise out of the ashes like a phoenix. Mm-hmm. They actually thought that this was going to work. And
so did the New York Knicks, and you see where they are.
True. And and they thought it worked so well, they celebrated. Yeah, they celebrated a first-round victory.
And they've been kicked in the ass ever since.
They celebrated a first-round victory like they won an NBA championship.
Like they won an NBA championship when they clinched Game 5 against Miami in Philadelphia. And they've been kicked in the rear end since then.
Because
they've been kicked square in the ass.
Because I think since they've only won 2 series since then, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It should have been 3.
Should have been 3. Because they should have won last year.
It should have been 3.
It should have been 3. They should have won the last year. Ben Simmons messed it all up.
5 shots in 84 minutes. And this time I'm talking directly to Ben Simmons. 5 shots in 84 minutes, 84 fourth quarter minutes.
And that
you want to explain that to me? Is that trusted? That ain't trusting the process. That's just flat out choking. I can take 5 shots in 84 fourth quarter minutes, and I can't play worth a damn.
Same. I'm sure all 5 of them might be blocked if I take them, but you know what? I'll be able to take them.
Same. At least I'll have the nuts to take them, and I'll take them well into the 2-minute warning if they get me the ball.
Right.
But see, I'm like Dennis Rodman. I beat people up and I grab rebounds. That's it. I'm not required to score.
Right.
Ben Simmons is required to score and be a point guard and put the team in the best position to win. You know what Ben Simmons has done to Philadelphia since he's been in Philadelphia? He's put his team in the best position not to succeed. Period.
You know something? And I was thinking about this just now. Just think about this. Ben Simmons is a microcosm of the whole 76ers organization because he seems to play scared.
Mm-hmm.
And the organization seems to be run like they're scared. Am I off here?
Nope.
That's what I thought.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what's the most unappealing part about
They've
that.
been playing scared since the process began. Okay? They got comfortable when they beat Miami in 2018, and they've been slapped around like a you fill in the blank since then.
And I feel for I actually do feel for someone like a Joel Embiid because I really believe he wants more. He wants more. He
does want more, but he's cow-tied to Philadelphia by no fault of his own.
Yeah, he wants that greatness, and he seems to be a cut from a traditional cloth like Giannis is.
Yep. And that's what and this is the comparison I make with Joel Embiid and Giannis. Okay? Giannis stuck with Milwaukee and he got rewarded. But Milwaukee had the nuts to go out and get some players that fit him. And they conformed to each other and off to the races they went. Philadelphia has not had the nerve to get not just players for Embiid, the correct players. Oh, did I say that? Allow me to say it again. The correct players. Oops.
And that's the key because that's the one thing Giannis eventually did learn. He learned that, I have to be the stud player, and yeah, there's going to be times I do have to carry this team, but I need to have others who will be willing to carry this load with me from time to time.
Yep.
And Absolutely. When he learned that lesson, that is when he became a champion, and it was before he grabbed on to the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
He learned his lesson. Embiid, unfortunately, has not, and part of that is Embiid's fault. And I'll get back to that point in a moment. But the other part of that is Philadelphia's fault.
Yeah,
because they've cow-tied him to a process that didn't work.
And they still are trying to make it work.
They're still trying to make it work, and it's not working. Try something else, okay? Yeah, try something else. All right? It's just they don't get it. And you know who else doesn't get it? Let's transition here. You know who else doesn't get it? The New Jersey Nets.
Well, they physically don't get it because they unfortunately no longer play in New Jersey. But yes, the organization that was formerly known as the New Jersey Nets does not get it at all. They're so hungry to win a championship, they'd be willing to do anything to attain it, including employ what's supposed to be an elite player on a part-time basis.
Elite player, right?
He may have talents that might be equated to elite, but that mentality is not. It is
a talent that hasn't come to fruition since he left Duke, since he was at Duke. Riddle me this, bad man. A guy who played 11 games at Duke is supposed to be an elite point guard?
That's what we keep hearing. We keep hearing he has the best handles in the league.
That's a lie. That's a bold-faced lie.
We keep hearing he's a clutch shooter.
That's another lie. Not since 2016.
We keep hearing he's box office, and I'm saying to myself, how are all of these things attributed to a player where you can basically chop at the knees all of it?
Mm-hmm.
Because best ball handler? No. He may have some good skills because he knows how to dribble between his legs, and he has a good first step. But
he also turns the ball over.
But I just described half of the point guards that's in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Clutch shooter?
No.
Well, the guy he coaxed and swindled.
Yep.
Called to be on the team.
He swindled him. He swindled. Yeah. Let's cut to the quick. He swindled Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He swindled. Listen to me carefully, folks. Listen to us carefully. And we're not afraid to say it, and y'all don't realize it yet in Brooklyn. He swindled Kevin Durant.
Because he should be a Knick.
He should have stayed in Northern California. Let's be all the way real.
I'll put it this way. He should either be a Knick or he should be a Warrior. I understand why he's not a Warrior.
Mm-hmm. That part I get. Part I get.
But if he was going to lead the team, he should have been a Knick because that situation would have been beautiful for him. But Kyrie is his boy, and Kyrie was like, we don't have to go to the Knicks. They already have their tradition. Let's make our own tradition.
And what Kyrie tradition is that?
And but Kyrie has been up to the task because the tradition he has set and the culture that he has set is, I'm gonna get mine, yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you know why I was silent.
Sounds like somebody else we know.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody else we know that you spoke about yesterday.
And it sounds like someone he learned from.
Mm-hmm. He learned all of that from him. He learned all of that from him.
And now you have a team where you got a player who he will do 1-on-5 if it means that he can win the game for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's another guy who is a hooper, but he is not nearly as skilled.
Right.
But is called upon to try to be as skilled. And now he is flustered and frustrated. Now, the reason why I totally agree with you in saying the Nets are going basically circling the drain is because I was wondering when we was going to start seeing the frustrated, frayed, angry tones of this fool Uncle AWOL is getting on our nerves. I was wondering when we were going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday night post-game press conference with James Harden. We finally have seen it.
We finally seen it and heard it because James Harden exploded.
Yeah, and
James
all
Harden
I gotta say to that
exploded.
Yes, and all I gotta say to that is bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Bravo. Well, let me go all the way there.
Please.
So I'm saying bravo. I'm saying bravo for him to actually stand up to Kyrie, and I'm saying that's what you get for trying to get your way out of Houston to get into that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know now. With Harden, he's probably in those hotel rooms or in his suite in New York or in a strip club backstage in the VIP section.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably saying, "Man, you mean to tell me I got fat and pushed my way out of Houston to get to this? Doggone, I probably should have stayed in Houston."
He finally said it. It was a lose-lose situation anyway. Had he stayed in Houston, he would be languishing. Now he's in Brooklyn, expected to compete, and he's languishing again.
Languishing there. But the Houston stuff notwithstanding, he has a right to be upset.
He has every right to be upset. So does KD.
Yes, and Durant.
Let me change my word. Especially KD.
That's what I'm saying. KD for sure has the right to be upset because he's toting the wagon. What did I say?
Mm-hmm.
They claim that this is a three-headed monster in Brooklyn.
No.
But no, it's not a three-headed monster. It's basically a two-headed monster. And Durant's
one and a half. And Durant's 1.5 of those.
Yeah.
And Durant's 1.5 of those.
It's frustrating when you know because of a principle that he's standing on. Which look, man to man, that's what you believe. Curry, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are considered to be one of the team, and they all, as a team, are saying, okay, well, we're going to actually do this. If we have to get all this situated in this fashion, we're going to do whatever is necessary so that we all could be on one accord and we can march toward this championship.
And it hasn't worked yet.
No. It hasn't. I would say it hasn't worked since day one of this year, but nope. It hasn't worked since day one of last year.
Has not and will not work. You have the wrong personalities in charge. Because the biggest mistake the Nets made was firing Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah. And the thing is, last year was supposed to be a coming out party for this team. You know, Durant was coming back from his injury, and Kyrie was supposed to be on his best behavior because now he has his boy playing with him.
Mm.
And then they get 10 games to the season, and then Kyrie decides to peace out.
Mm-hmm. And bring Sage into Boston.
And that's after.
Mm-hmm.
But he pieces out, and then he decides to lay the blame on January 6th, you know, the insurrection U.S. Capitol, as the reason as to why he didn't report to work. But we catch him shaking his groove thing to his sister and his for his sister's birthday party. Didn't tell anybody. Just left the team.
If you have a physical limitation like I do, then people understand why you would peace out. Because if you're battling something big like cancer, not only does your physical health get limited, but your mental health gets limited. That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But with Kyrie, when you're employed to play basketball for millions of dollars at a time.
Say that again.
When you're Kyrie Irving and you're employed to play basketball for millions of dollars at a time. Millions of dollars at a time. And you choose this behavior?
You all wonder why I have a consternation with him.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that happen, because that has nothing to do with the vaccine.
Nope.
That has nothing to do with his stint in Cleveland. That has nothing to do with his stint in Boston, although, of course, some of that stench rubbed off on this one because of those incidents.
It sure did.
This dude just left. Went AWOL literally. Didn't tell the coaching staff, didn't tell his boys, didn't tell the players. Just left the team. And I'm saying to myself, I thought you were supposed to be one. Well, they claim 1/3 because DeAndre Jordan was supposed to be the third, but I hate to say it this way. This is cold, but who is DeAndre Jordan? But
I've been asking that question since his Clipper days.
Yeah.
Who the hell is DeAndre Jordan?
But it was supposed to be him and Durant in the front seat of the Nets bus driving into a championship. And this clown, not even 1/8 of the way through the season, decides to go elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Again,
I invoke sports talk extraordinaire Michael K. I'd release his ass today. I'd release his ass today.
Not mincing words, huh?
How long have you ridden shotgun with me?
Yeah, you're right. And I would expect nothing less.
I'd release his ass today.
He is too much of a headache. He carries too much drama with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nets would be a better organization without them. And I don't want to say that about a player, but the way Kyrie is, they would be better off without him on the team.
Look, when the conversation started, when Kyrie wanted to come to Brooklyn, I'd have slammed the door in his face. I'm trying to make you guys a champion. Shut up.
Well,
because the only way you got a championship was because of a shot you were required to take. And you didn't even get a unanimous, you didn't even get an MVP vote, which I will admit at that time you deserved because you did take that shot.
Yeah, you did.
But you want to try to make us champions after your stint in Boston and the way your career flamed out in Cleveland? Get out of my office. No, get the hell out of my office.
Well, he would probably say the same thing to them as he said to the fans in front on courtside in Cleveland recently.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I gave the Cavs championship. MF is still ungrateful.
No, Kyrie, you're ungrateful. Ungrateful ass.
Oh my gosh.
Chris Dietz next to talk Major League Baseball and its tone deafness, for lack of a better word.
Speaking of ungrateful.
Dummies. Back in a flash.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delisha on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delisha, that is where you find it. Here, children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delisha. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delisha, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Welcome back to Snowman in the Morning.
Oh, yeah. Want to help out the show? Go to patreon.com/SIT morning, or you can check out the podcast page on snowmaninthemorning.com. There are a few ways where you can donate to the cause so we can really build this show. And speaking of building this, yo, Deets, you ready?
What's going on, man?
Get him.
I will begin. Major League Baseball, you effed up royally. And you continue to do so. This this work stoppage, and then as I give my buddy Dietz the floor, these Hall of Fame shenanigans. The floor is yours.
Well, we got to start. We got to start with congratulations to Big Papi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Red Sox fan, but being that I am in New England, there's no one more deserving of the Hall of Fame than Big Papi. Big Papi deserved it just because you and we talked about this last time, or we talked about this last week with how much the decline of baseball. In Big Papi's heyday, he outranked Tom Brady.
Yep.
And Tom Brady was in his heyday, and Big Papi was bigger in Boston than Tom Brady was.
Yes, he was.
Not surprised, but Boston normally is more of a baseball town than a football town anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I will tell you this: Big Papi does not get into the Hall of Fame on Tuesday night without a bloody sock in Game 7.
Curt
in the Bronx.
Curt Schilling.
Doesn't happen. If Curt Schilling doesn't do what Curt Schilling did, there's no way it changes the entire history of that Red Sox organization and everything that came from it.
So you're saying that the Hall has snubbed and continues to snub Mr. Bloody Sock, aka Curt Schilling?
Well, they're not going to continue to snub him because they just kicked that was the last ballot. He's done.
Yeah.
And that is the travesty. And everybody was talking about it. They did a whole thing after the vote. They on that network, they ran a whole thing about Barry Bonds, and everybody wanted to talk Bonds, Sosa, and Clemens. No, the travesty is Curt Schilling.
Mm-hmm.
I posted this on Facebook. I have yet
I saw it.
In 3 places I posted this. Someone give me the statistical reason that Curt Schilling's not a Hall of Famer. No one can answer that question because there is no reason. And I'm one of those guys. I like to, if I don't understand something, I try to go to something that I do understand.
Yeah.
And we talked college football all year long.
Mm-hmm.
And every week we had a problem, not with the ranking.
Right.
It's not about the ranking. It was about the excuse for the ranking.
Yes.
And it's the excuses of why Curt Schilling's not a Hall of Famer. Oh, he's not a Hall of Famer because the integrity of the game. We have to keep the integrity of the game. Really? You're
my ass.
One of the best pitchers of all time.
Mm-hmm. One of the guttiest performances of all time.
Mm-hmm. Let me brass tacks tell you why, and they won't ever say that Curt Schilling's not in the Hall of Fame. He isn't in the Hall of Fame because the baseball writers seem to not agree with the man's political leanings.
Yeah.
That is why he is not in the Hall of Fame. And that, to me,
is something they won't say aloud.
They won't say that aloud. To your point, Chris, that to me is the ultimate travesty.
I thought the Hall of Fame was based on achievements on the field, not off of it. That's what I thought the Hall of Fame stood for.
You just have to sit there and think about this for a minute. You just have to sit there, and anybody who's listening right now, just do this with me. While I'm talking, think what makes a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, what makes a Hall of Famer is you are deeply involved in the most iconic moments of your career. The most iconic moments in the sport, you were involved in them.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, I'm 39 years old. In the last 40 years, if you counted the top 10 iconic moments in baseball, I guarantee you Curt Schilling is involved in 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. At least.
And we already talked about one. The bloody sock will go down in history as everything.
The 2001 Diamondback season. There you go.
2001. This is a guy who pitched game 1 and pitched lights out. Came back game 3 came back 3 days later, pitched again.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 days after that in game 7 said, "Give me the ball." And not only did he get the ball, he went 8 scoreless
innings.
And the other, which is probably the most iconic moment in the last 40 years, Touch 'em all Joe. Touch 'em all Joe doesn't happen without Curt Schilling's game 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Carter kind of glossed over. It makes everybody remember. They only remember game 6 of that series. They don't remember anything else. If you remember that series, games 2, 3, and 4, the Toronto Blue Jays scored 35 runs total.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Curt Schilling gets the ball in an elimination game and he throws a 9-inning complete game
shutout.
Mm-hmm. Complete game shutout.
Complete game shutout. And then they go to game 6 and we all know what happens.
Yeah.
But those are 3 moments. Those are 3 moments in the last 40 years that are iconic to the game of baseball. He's directly involved in them.
And no kind of love for Curt Schilling whatsoever. Curt Schilling was one of my favorite pitchers because of the mastery he had on the field, but yet because of his stances off the field, they kick him off the ballot. He's no longer eligible.
Don't give me that off the field stuff, because you want to know. You want to go back years and years. You can't say anything about morality because Ty Cobb is in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, he is.
He's the worst human being of all time. He's one of the worst human beings of all time.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm 100% with you there.
Same. It's unanimous.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. And then I heard another argument that, well, nobody really liked him. He was always a jerk, and he was always cocky and this and that. Yeah.
Eddie Murray was considered a jerk. Well, I mean, Eddie Murray was considered a jerk.
Eddie Murray was a jerk, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
He's in the Hall.
But here's the thing: like, people say, "Oh, he was a cocky." You want to know what cocky? You know what cocky gets you? You know what the cocky guy does? The cocky guy takes the ball on 3 days rest and pitches 7 shutout innings.
Mm-hmm. And then his partner comes in, pitches the other 2.
And does it twice in one series.
Mm-hmm.
That's what cocky gets you.
Yeah.
Cocky gets you. Give me the ball. Give me the damn ball and get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
Jack
frickin' Morris. 1991.
Jack Morris is the same. Jack Morris is another one.
Jack Morris.
Another one.
1991.
He definitely deserved to be in the Hall. Now that I have no explanation for him at all. Why he's not in the Hall? I don't either. Not with him.
Again, another one. Iconic moments. Guy pitched a 9
only pitcher in World Series history with a 10-inning shutout. And what's the end of that sentence? A clincher in a game 7. Only game 7 pitcher to throw a 10-inning shutout. And Cooperstown won't call him.
Sniff the Hall. That doesn't make sense to me at all.
2 of my favorite pitchers, Curt Schilling and Jack Morris.
Because he was
nowhere in the Hall of Fame.
He wasn't considered a jerk. He wasn't considered the middle of the road type of pitcher. He was an ace
for his entire career.
And he was a part of one of the most iconic teams ever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the 91 Twins.
That's the 84 Tigers.
Right. And you have this moment where he pitched 10 shutout innings in a game 7.
10 shutout innings. Game 7 in the Metrodome, which was louder than hell, as you both know.
Yeah.
And nothing. So that game 7 means nothing to the baseball writers of America. This Game 7 2001 and Game 6 2004. And Chris, tell me again. I know, was it Game 4 in 1993? Was it Game 4 in 1993? And speaking of Curt Schilling,
which one?
Was it Game 4 or Game 6?
I know it was Game 5.
Okay, Game 5. Okay, thank you both.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sniff the Hall of Fame. What?
If Curt Schilling isn't a Hall of Famer, I said this, then nobody's gotten back to me. If Curt Schilling's not a Hall of Famer, who is? Who else is going to be a pitcher? Who else is going to be
with a direct effect on 3 World Series moments? 3 of them.
Took 3 teams. He's the only guy I can think of. Off the top of my head, he's the only guy I can think of that took 3 teams to the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not worthy of your Hall of Fame, I don't know how somebody else can get in. And
let me flip that to football real quick. And Cole, you know where I'm going. You want to know someone that's worthy of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and yet will never sniff it? I got 2 words for you. Roger Craig.
The last word you said, will never sniff it, is what I find frustrating and upsetting. And
I mean,
with these baseball writers, I don't get why they have such a stick of their behinds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you mentioned it earlier, Chris, and you, Brian. You hear them say, well, we have to uphold the integrity of the game.
Take that integrity. Let me respond here real quick, Cole. Take that integrity argument, given how you vote, and shove it up your ass.
And they can justify having someone like Ty Cobb
in the Hall of Fame. In the Hall of Fame. How?
But him being a world-class idiot for a human being.
A world-class jerk. A world-class jerk.
But because it is the ultimate sin to be considered a juicer, you have to basically say, okay, the buck stops here.
But
no.
You know what? They were doing stuff. They were doing stuff like that way back in the day.
No.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Why Major League Baseball? I mean, Major League Baseball writers held it against Clemens, Bonds, and Sosa.
Mm-hmm.
The steroids thing, right?
Yes.
Right.
Curt Schilling is the only one from baseball. He was the only baseball player that went to Congress, didn't plead the fifth, didn't wag his finger while taking steroids, didn't forget how to speak English, he's the only one that went there, answered questions, and said, we have a problem and we need to fix it and we need your help. He was the champion behind getting steroids.
He sure was.
Celebrating him.
He sure was. He said it aloud. He's the only one that said it aloud. We have a problem and we need to fix it, and they turned a deaf ear on him. They turned a deaf ear.
And look, I'm not going to sit here and say, Curt, I don't even know what Curt Schilling said, because you know why? I don't care what Curt Schilling said.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not talking about pitching or how to do laundry and get blood out of your socks,
mm-hmm.
if he's not telling me that, if he's not giving me that, I don't care what Curt Schilling says.
Right.
Curt Schilling is allowed to be, people are allowed to be idiots.
Mm-hmm.
He's allowed to say whatever dumb thing he wants to say. But you know what? I don't have to buy into it. I can go, yeah.
Thank you.
Schilling's an idiot.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what he's talking about.
But he still doesn't. Yeah.
But to make the point of, well, we're not gonna allow him into the Hall of Fame, and to go back to the integrity point,
mm-hmm.
you just ruined the integrity of your sport, because everyone who grew up watched Curt Schilling play.
Yes.
They know they watched him do his thing. They know he's a Hall of Famer. They know he's one of the only pitchers ever to win the MVP.
Yep.
Yes, he had to split it with Randy Johnson, but still, he was the MVP.
Look, to be considered one of the, well, I would probably say to me, to be considered the greatest enemy to a Yankees fan.
Yes.
If that to me isn't an iconic reason as to why this guy should be in the Hall of Fame, I don't know what is.
And
I don't know what is.
I don't know what is. I don't know what is either. When Chris came to me last night, he said, "You got to have me on to discuss these shenanigans." I said, "You're on." I originally scheduled him for yesterday. I originally scheduled him for yesterday, but we were already rolling. So, Deeds, I'm glad you're on today.
You know what?
Too.
You know what's really amazing, and Snowman, I know you're a White Sox fan.
Yes, I am.
So Frank Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Thomas was a great player.
Yep.
Awesome player.
Do you understand that Frank Thomas is now the face of a testosterone boosting formula?
Yep.
Yes, he is.
And you want to tell me that he did he wasn't trying everything and anything in while he was playing? I mean, he's doing this after.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody says a thing.
Nobody will say a thing
because he's already in.
Nobody will say a thing.
I mean,
and y'all know I love Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas is one of, if not my favorite slugger.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to be fair and balanced and call it right down the middle. He's the face of a testosterone booster.
It's just a bad look. It's just a bad look.
It is. It really is.
Terrible. When I first saw him on those commercials, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!"
Mm-hmm.
Like, who told you to do this? Because this is a bad idea.
Yeah,
the money must be running low, and I don't want to think that. But
I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that either for a Hall of Famer. I really, really don't. Chris, I'm gonna have you back next Thursday. Let's do a part 2 to this. We're running up against the break, but Deets, I want to have you back next Thursday. Man. Same time, same channel. We're gonna do a part 2 to this, and we'll pick it up on advertisements, Hall of Fame advertisements. We'll start there. What say you, my friend?
Outstanding, and hey, good luck on Sunday there.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Chris. Thank you, brother.
All right, have a good one, guys.
You too, man.
Definitely got to have him back for a part 2 to this. Definitely got to have him back.
Yeah,
because for Frank Thomas. And I didn't realize it, but I do now. And thinking about all the ads that I've seen with Frank Thomas, what's happened?
Yeah,
what's happened? Because to me, he was just so wholesome. I loved watching him play. But Chris is right. Let's be fair.
Mm-hmm.
There were some things you have to think. There were some things he was trying, to keep himself to keep himself up. And now he's the spokesman for a testosterone commercial. Okay? Yeah. But at the same time, invoking my personal feelings into it, I have to say that I listen, especially given my health situation right now. Because I'm trying everything and anything and everything to get this damn tumor out of me so I can celebrate birthday number 50 and beyond. So I can't weigh in on it yet. But it is a bad look. Chris is right there. It is a very bad look. Hour 2 begins after this, and we're going to have some more fun.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delisha on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delisha, that is where you find it. Here, children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delisha. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delisha, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy. And I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much. From the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between, it really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to
choose between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
The COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. And as they become available, you may be asking yourself, should I get it? Will it help me get back to doing the things I love? Like going out to my favorite restaurants, meeting with friends in person, or going on vacation and traveling again? And can I do it all without putting my family and those I love at risk? And is it safe? You've got questions. That's normal, which is why it's so important to get informed. The medical community has made it clear. The vaccines authorized for COVID-19 have met the highest safety standards and can help protect us. Visit getvaccineanswers.org for all the latest information on the COVID-19 vaccines. That's getvaccineanswers.org. Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Holy on smoke! Are you kidding me?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
I haven't talked to this man in a couple of weeks, and it's my own fault because I moved the show to the morning. Jay Spivey is now with me. Jay, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to have you back. So,
always good to be here.
The season's over for the Panthers. Where do we start to blow this up?
Well, it seems like they're sort of blowing it up now. It's just, to me, I think once the off season begins, once the Super Bowl's over, and the new football season starts in March, it's time to try to ship McCaffrey somewhere else.
Yeah, McCaffrey. And McCaffrey's one of my favorite players, but he can't stay on the field. How many times we've said this over and over in 2 years? The last 2 years, he's had a season-ending injury. You got to get that off the books.
You have to. They're so reliant on him offensively, and he's constantly hurt. You can't count on him. You just can't have that type of salary on your team.
You really can't. You really can't. And as far as the quarterback position goes, do we ship all three of them out and then look for somebody in the draft, or do you keep at least one of who you have now?
Because the draft is so weak at quarterback, you almost maybe want to keep Darnold, maybe. I mean, I know he wasn't great.
Yeah. That's a stretch. That's a stretch, though.
That's a big. I know that, but man, but I don't. Where are you gonna go? I mean, you're probably not gonna get a quarterback through the draft. So
nope.
Are you gonna go the free agency route? I mean, who's great that's out there?
And if the Panthers make a push for Deshaun Watson, there's a circus coming with that.
Of course. Well, I've told you that numerous times.
Yeah, you have.
A bad idea. No matter who ends up getting him, I think that's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea and a bad look, because how long are you going to have him?
Yeah, I mean, for obvious reasons, you don't want the guy. I mean, heck, he could be in jail for all we know.
Because by the time anything is signed, he could be behind bars. His case is still open, folks.
And I know way down the line in terms of importance, but he hasn't played in 2 years.
Nope. He hasn't played in 2 years. And he won't
I mean,
play
so
for at
you're
least a
gonna tell our
third.
guy?
And he won't play for at least a third. Why would you waste the time in making that deal?
It makes no sense to me.
It
But
makes
I know somebody's gonna pull the trigger on it. I know somebody is.
You know who I expect that team to be? Miami.
That's what it sure does seem like. There's
It
too much
seemed-
smoke for there not be some fire.
Mm-hmm. Miami seems to be the likely team where Deshaun Watson will land. And that puts them in a quandary because what are you going to do with Tua and the rest of your quarterback room? Should you make a deal for Deshaun Watson? Where does that put everybody else in the quarterback room?
I would assume that Tua would be part of that trade to Houston. I mean, Houston can't not. Although Davis Mills wasn't great, but he was a whole lot better than people thought he'd be this season.
Yeah. And it's a mess. This Deshaun Watson case is a mess.
He really is.
Because for a while he was linked to San Francisco, but then San Francisco said, "Nah, we got our situation handled."
Well, let's hope, but it just seems like they're not very tied to Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think they are.
I honestly don't think that Shanahan has a whole lot of confidence in him.
This is one where I beg to differ. I think he does. At least as far as I've seen, he does.
But to me, it speaks volumes about how ill-prepared Trey Lance is.
Yep. Yeah.
And why
very
ill-prepared. Traded up to get him.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because he hadn't played football in a year. And he had one show-out game. Nobody in the stands, just a few scouts, and that game didn't go well.
No. To me, I just don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. Jay Spivey here with me, comparing some Spivey notes. Let's go to basketball. What is wrong with North Carolina college basketball this year?
Well,
is everybody falling on their rear ends? And
there's two good teams in North Carolina. The other two are not very good.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's mediocre.
Yeah, very.
The light blue team in Chapel Hill, they're pretty mediocre. I just saw them in person Saturday night. They were not good at all against Wake Forest.
No, they weren't.
They got run out of the building.
They got smashed by Wake Forest. And who thought we'd say that? Who thought we'd say that? That's like first time for me. I've heard that phrase and seen it for myself since 1995. That 1995 Wake Forest team.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Long, miserable 10 years at Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm. And now they're starting to play.
Misery.
And now they're starting to play good. Do they have the team well enough to run the table in the ACC? Or is the ACC? And I talked to Connor O'Neill about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to have him back on. Is the ACC down as a basketball conference this year?
I've said this to numerous people, and they want to laugh us off. But I've followed ACC basketball my entire life, and I am not so sure that this season is not the worst season ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a great team in the entire conference.
No, there isn't.
There are 4 or 5 good teams at best, and then there's just a bunch of dreck after that.
Yeah, 4 or 5 at best. How many wind up getting seeds in the tournament? That's my next question.
You're probably looking at most 6. You're looking at Duke, Wake, Carolina, Notre Dame. Who am I missing here? Miami.
Mm-hmm. Miami, definitely.
And I know I'm missing some. Oh, Florida State.
Florida State. Yeah.
So you're looking at most 6, in my opinion.
And then they may wind up knocking each other out in the ACC tournament. Where's the tournament this year? Is it back in Greensboro?
It is in Brooklyn this year.
It's in Brooklyn.
Yes. So you could have the very real possibility of having 2 or 3 North Carolina teams. Because up there it's Notre Dame, Syracuse, Boston College. That's pretty much all. If you get a position where it's all North Carolina or Florida State, 2 Florida teams, who's going to come?
Right.
Who's going to come?
Who came up with the idea of putting the tournament in Brooklyn?
They wanted it to be more regionalized, and I just thought.
You should keep the tournament. We talked about this last year. keep the tournament in Greensboro. It's a central hub for all ACC teams.
Listen, I've been to many ACC tournaments. I've been to Greensboro, Charlotte, Atlanta, and Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I mean, they're all great in their own way. But to me, and I know I'm the homer in a way because I live 25 minutes away from there, but to me, it's the best in Greensboro.
Yes.
It's not even close. It's not even close, in my opinion.
I attended the ACC tournament in 1995 and saw how they put it on. It should go nowhere else. It should go nowhere else. Period.
It's the biggest arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more. I mean, they're more fan involvement.
What's a capacity now? 24?
Because it was 23 something.
Yeah, because it was between 22 and 23 when I was there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best in Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not even close, to my opinion.
It's I even somewhat understood the stretch when they had it in Washington.
And
when they had it in Washington.
It will. I think I was actually supposed to be in Washington last year, and then COVID.
COVID took care of that.
Yeah. So it'll be in Washington again. I mean, it's because of where the arena is in Washington, it's very centrally located. It's downtown Washington.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to get to.
Yes.
I mean, when I was there, the hotel we stayed in, which was the Media Hotel, I mean, we were like 3 blocks away from the arena, so it was easy to get to.
Yeah.
Easy to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's kind of a cool environment to kind of be downtown. And Atlanta was sort of the same way. We were downtown in Atlanta too.
Yeah. But was this at the Omni?
It's the old Omni. It's now it's now State Farm Arena.
Mm-hmm.
They tore it down, built a new arena for the Hawks.
Okay.
It's in the same location.
Same location as the Omni. Okay.
Yeah. And then the year I went to Atlanta, it wasn't there. It was actually in the old Georgia Dome, which is now torn.
Okay.
And which is they got the Mercedes-Benz.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium is there now. But what? But Brooklyn, it's going to be a bleeping zoo in Brooklyn.
Well, it could be an empty zoo.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it
Depending
could
on
be
who's
because
playing, it could be empty.
Yeah, it could be. Jay Spivey joining us here for the first time in a couple of weeks. How about I have you at this time on Mondays so we can keep our Monday engagement? How's that? Would that work?
That might work.
All right, my friend. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. And happy belated birthday, my man.
Thank you very much, sir.
Jay Spivey joining us here. Why is the ACC tournament in Brooklyn? Who in the Vita Blue Hell came up with that idea? As I said, and as Jay said, and quite a few other people agree, keep it in Greensboro. It's the best spot for the ACC tournament. Got more for you. Back in a flash.
What is dedication?
I am the father of a 9-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little boy, and I find fatherhood both relentlessly challenging and relentlessly rewarding. My daughter is biological and my son is adopted. I love them both so much, from the morning when you wake up to putting them to bed at night and every moment in between. It really is so special, and boy, is it exhausting. One thing that I fear about being a parent is the future for my children. I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings. But I'm also hopeful that the future holds a more inclusive and compassionate world for them.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delisha on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delisha, that is where you find it. Here, children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up. The kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delisha. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delisha, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
These are the sounds of a dinner. But not just any dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. Because without food, it can't. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations to the COVID-19 Relief Fund are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Your help is needed now more than ever, and every dollar makes a difference. That's feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. On behalf of Feeding America and families nationwide, thank you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
He flew fighter jets in 2 wars and taught you how to drive a car. He fed everyone on the block, but never shared his secret recipes. And every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect, in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage. The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
Well, as I was perusing social media, and I got Megan Price coming at the bottom of this hour, I saw something. I saw a question in a sports group that I'm in on Facebook. At the top, you have the 90s Bulls starting 5, Rodman, Pibb, MJ, Harper, and Kukoc. You can insert Longley for Kukoc also. Bottom picture has Wade, LeBron, Chalmers, Udonis Haslem. Well, first of all, it's 5-on-4, so that takes care of that. It's like the Packers having only 10 men on the field for the game-winning kick by San Francisco. Second, you got look, LeBron would be guarded by Rodman, and LeBron wouldn't do a thing. Chalmers would be checked up by Ron Harper. Udonis Haslem probably would get his. Dwayne Wade probably would get his. But then you got Dwayne Wade that would probably try to check Michael Jordan, and that's a mismatch and a half. And I love Dwayne Wade. Don't get it twisted. I love Dwayne Wade. But the Bulls would just beat them down in a sweep. It would just beat them down in a sweep. Let's go back to Major League Baseball, shall we? Everything that Dietz said has a ton of merit to it, and it's true. Curt Schilling responsible for 3 World Series moments. Game 5, 1993, Game 7, 2001, and Game 6, 2004. Especially Game 6, 2004 with a bloody sock. And you're going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame? For what reason? I thought the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame was based on on-field achievement. Now they're keeping Bonds and Clemens and Rose out and Schilling out of the Hall of Fame. Well, we don't want to destroy the integrity. Let me mention something that Dietz and my partner, Cole Johnson, who had to go to a meeting, so I'm flying solo with you for the rest of the day. Let me mention something that they mentioned. Explain, if you're trying to keep the integrity of the game, then explain the case of one Ty Cobb, will you? Explain the case of one Eddie Murray. Okay? According to reports, they were absolute jerks, and they're in the Hall of Fame. The Baseball Writers of America have a problem. They move the goalposts. They move the foul pole. Let's keep it in baseball terms. They move the foul pole when it comes to the Hall of Fame. They move the foul pole. Supposed to be stationary, it's not. Based on on-field achievements. I'll look at the case of Barry Bonds. He was never charged. He was never found guilty of using performance enhancers. All the comparisons you saw from his days in Pittsburgh to his days in San Francisco, and yet the most dangerous hitter in baseball, or one thereof, the all-time home run leader, and he's not enshrined in Cooperstown. And Tuesday was the last chance for him on the ballot to get into the Hall of Fame. We're talking all Hall of Fames here because I may as well invoke what I wanted to invoke. And that's this. If a Hall of Fame for whatever sport is supposed to be recognizing the all-time best players and their achievements therein. I've already talked baseball. I've already talked baseball and who should be let in, and they're not Jack Morris, another one. Then riddle me this, please. Why doesn't the Pro Football Hall of Fame let in Roger Craig, the original 1,000 guy, the original player who had 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season? And he got that on the last game of the year in 1985 against the Dallas Cowboys. If you can celebrate Marshall Faulk and his 1,000 season and give him a spot in the Hall of Fame, in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, then why can't you do the same for, if you can celebrate Christian McCaffrey's 1,000 season, which was 3 years ago, 2019, then why can't you celebrate the guy who had the original 1,000 season, which is Roger Craig? And to me, aside of Walter Payton and later in the 80s, Barry Sanders, who was the most influential back in the 80s for a time? It was Roger Craig. I mean, who had that violent of a running style and was in one of the best offenses in the business. Now, people have shown me Roger Craig's numbers and have said that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame. People have told me, well, he was overshadowed by Montana and Rice and whoever else was important. And that's true, okay? And I got another candidate for you that should be in the Hall of Fame, but it's not. And I'll get to him in a moment. If you're going to elect Marshall Faulk, the second player with 1,000 season, then why won't you elect Roger Craig for enshrinement? And he was the first to have 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving in the same season. I don't care if he, and I had someone tell me this, wasn't that big a part of the 49er offense. That's baloney. That's baloney. He had one of the biggest parts of that offense. And speaking of people who should be elected into the Hall of Fame, why isn't John Taylor elected? Only player in Monday Night Football history but with not one but two 90-yard touchdown receptions. He caught the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 23. Caught a touchdown in Super Bowl 24. Caught one in Super Bowl 29. Part of a 6-touchdown performance for Steve Young. If the Pittsburgh Steelers and their fans can pressure the Hall of Fame to elect John Stallworth, and Stallworth was a hell of a receiver. Why can't they do the same thing for John Taylor? Why can't they do the same thing for Roger Craig? Weren't they a part of that 49er offense? Just like wasn't Curt Schilling a part of 3 big World Series memories? There are some problems with the Professional Sports Hall of Fames across the country, and they need to get back to focusing on what's important, and that's the achievement therein from the player. Not all this off-the-field stuff, or not because he wasn't a big part of the offense and wasn't a big part of the lineup. If they were a big enough part of the lineup to have an effect on the biggest games of the season, then shouldn't they be Hall of Fame worthy? That's Snowman's take. What's yours? One more stop, and then the Queen of Hoop will join me in the form of Megan Price. This is Snowman in the Morning. Back in a flash.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and
Sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner.
or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity not to make friends but just to get something to eat, or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delisha on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delisha, that is where you find it. Here children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delisha. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delisha, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
He flew fighter jets in 2 wars and taught you how to drive a car. He fed everyone on the block, but never shared his secret recipes. And every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage.
The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share. StoryCorps Connect. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck. You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
Down the stretch we come here in hour 2, waiting on the Queen of Hoop, Megan Price, to join me. And let's get to the NBA. Let's get back, I should say, to the NBA. I want to get her thoughts on Joel Embiid being an MVP candidate. And speaking of the Queen of Hoop, here she is right now. This is Megan Price, and she joins me via the hotline. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning, Brian.
Okay, I said something this morning, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Megan Price joining us here, the host of The Sip-Off and the NBA Carousel. Joel Embiid, MVP conversation, buy or sell?
Absolutely. He's been averaging more points a minute more points than he has minutes played in the last month. So absolutely MVP candidate, and maybe above Joker, actually.
Really?
I think Joel brings it on both sides of the court. So that's something you have to take in consideration. Both teams are having their issues. You know, Denver is having problems with injury. And Philly's having problems with not having their number 2 option player playing. So, they both have their own problems, and they're still, what they're doing are able to overcome and win games, slightly above 500 teams, and just all off the back of their own play. But the difference with Joel is that he plays defense more than what Joker does.
Who else do you believe is in the MVP conversation?
I think you have to go with what Draymond said last week and say Ja Morant. He's absolutely earned that. Not, I think most people are thinking, most improved player, and that's where he leads in the voting. But personal opinion, and I got to go with Draymond on this one and say that he's definitely moved into MVP conversation.
I believe he has too. Ja Morant has put on some performances, especially lately, that warrant him being a part of the MVP conversation. And I mean, Morant has been moving the Grizzlies up, just up all over the place. They're really in contention, and this can't be far-fetched the way that they play. They're in contention for a top 2 seed in the Western Conference right now.
I agree. It's going to be top 3, though. I still think Golden State is on a different level. They are having some problems. I know Steph is having a little bit of a shooting lull, but he will be back in full force, and this is just something that every shooter goes through at some point in time.
How'd you feel when you saw Klay Thompson run on the floor for the first time? Because Thompson's back in the lineup.
Absolutely. I'm so exciting to have him back. It's not basketball. It doesn't feel like, current basketball if he's not in a part of the game. So definitely great having him back. And his return was the highest rated viewing regular season moment of all time.
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoop, joining me here on the program, talking all things National Basketball Association. Who do you believe should be the All-Star Game captains? I know it's based on voting, but who do you think should be the All-Star captains?
Let me think. I guess KD in the East, even though he's injured, he's had an incredible run of the first half of the season. And in the West, either Steph or LeBron. LeBron has still been able to win some games, just like we were talking about with Joker and Embiid.
Yeah.
He's been able to deal with some injuries and still been able to continue to win despite turnover machine Westbrook.
Yeah. I'll give you both of those. Will we see KD before or after the All-Star break, given his injury?
I think after the All-Star break. I don't think they're going to rush him for anything, and definitely not for All-Star weekend. That's not something that is probably on anybody who's injured. It's probably not on their radar. It's just not as important as it used to be. I do expect the dunk contest to be interesting. And I like the new format with the up-and-comers, with the rookies. And I like what they changed there.
Yeah, I like that too. They're trying to bring the luster back to the All-Star game and All-Star weekend, and a few tweaks are going to help. And it's held in Cleveland this year. How long will let me pose this question another way. How does Durant injury affect the Nets right now?
I think Durant's injury, I mean, it absolutely affects them. Okay, like last week they played the Cavaliers, and they had Kyrie and they had James Harden, and both of them had great numbers, but it wasn't enough to beat the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers are number 5 in the East. So while they're better than expected, they're not exactly the top team over there in the East, and you guys should have been able to probably beat them. So having KD is that important, but I think having KD, you already knew and kind of planned for what are you going to do when KD's injured, because he just doesn't have healthy seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you didn't have a contention plan in place, then you're not a very good coach or staff putting that together. But I think not having Kyrie in crucial games is more of the problem at this moment, because you should have planned for KD to be injured. It's just what his body is.
Yeah, and him being in his 14th year,
right?
And his body has just been his body's just been run down, especially the last couple of years. Let's go to Texas and talk about your Spurs. How can they improve and get back into the Western Conference race?
I've been saying this for a couple of years now. We have to do something about our center depth, our power forward center situation. We have Keldon Johnson, who I want on the team no matter what, playing power forward right now. He's only 6'5". So we need somebody that has a little more size and presence there. Jakob Poeltl is playing the center position, and while he's excellent at rebounding and he plays defense, he will get you some blocks, so it's not like he doesn't do anything on the stat sheet. He's just not that guy that's going to put up 20 plus very often, and that's what we need. So it would be nice to get Miles Turner. I've had my eyes on him since we've heard about this situation over in Indiana, and I think he would be a nice fit there. I think we could elevate his game. I think right now he's averaging like 13 or 14 points a game, but I think we could get that up to 20, 21 pretty easily, just being coached by Becky and Pop.
What would it take for you guys to get Miles Turner?
We're going to have to drop probably a couple of our names, some of our core players what we consider core players the last few years. I think, obviously DeJounte is untouchable. He runs the team. We've built it around him, and I think we're generally about loyalty in the Spurs. So I feel like he's a part of that, and he has the same mind frame. So I doubt that he goes anywhere. But pretty much anybody else, Derek White, Lonnie Walker, even Thaddeus or Doug McDermott could go. I like all of them, but if it means you're going to get somebody that's going to be your dominant center for a while, then I think that you have to make that move.
Megan Price, the Queen of Hoop, joining me here on the program, talking all things NBA as they steam toward the All-Star break. Good to have you back, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian.
Megan Price joining us here on the program. One more break, and then one more take. Hey, I made a rhyme. How about that? We'll wrap it up after this.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Everyone knows what kindergarten is, but have you heard of kindergarten and transitional kindergarten? Virtual learning where you use a morning meeting to do so? Well, if you look up Miss Delicia on YouTube with Morning Meeting with Miss Delicia, that is where you find it. Here children can learn about their names, what their names start with, the letters, circles, everything that we learned in kindergarten growing up, the kids can do now and can do it with Miss Delicia. Just go to youtube.com and search Miss Delicia, and when you do, and you put your child involved in this, do me a favor. Tell them Snowman sent you.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Are you kidding me? Did you not get the memo?
Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Can't wait. Oh, yeah.
I just blew out my ears. I'm sorry. Down the stretch we come here on this Trip Down Thursday edition. Tomorrow, Mike Debate joins me as we make our conference championship picks, and we'll break down both games, the Bengals in Kansas City and the 49ers in Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Speaking of which, found another post as I was perusing social media in the group called University of Sports Debate. This question was posed. If you were a betting man or woman, will you put money on Jimmy G and the Niners this Sunday? Hell yes! And not just because I'm a fan either. People want to ignore the way the 49ers are playing right now. Why? They were an underdog against the Rams in Week 18. They were an underdog against the Cowboys. They were an underdog against the Packers. And they were an underdog this week. So, who cares? I'm not really a betting man. But if I were a betting man, I'd put my money on the 49ers all day. I believe in my heart the Rams have no solution for this 49er defense and this 49er team. And they're going to come into SoFi Stadium and prove it. One guy said, I don't think Jimmy G or the Niners are for real. I don't think the game will be a blowout, but the Rams will win decidedly. Oh, do you? Oh, do you? Let me throw this stat out there. The best outright win percentage as an underdog. From bottom to top, Tim Tebow, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and guess who's on top? Jimmy Garoppolo at 14-5. Now, Tom Brady has played in 61 games as an underdog, but that's Tom Brady. How about this other stat I'll throw at you? Most career yards per attempt. Steve Young, Hall of Famer, 7.9. Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer, 8.0. Patrick Mahomes, 8.1. Deshaun Watson, 8.2. Guess who's at 8.3? That would be Jimmy G to you. And there are still people that think that the 49ers are going to get rid of him after this season is over. Ha! I don't think so. I really believe that Jimmy Garoppolo has played himself into an extension. And he will get that extension. Going to have a lot more on this tomorrow. And as I said, I'll have Mike Debate with me as we make our conference championship picks. And I'm going to post something on social media, and I'll read the best answers tomorrow. For now, going to go on and get on out of here because I got some work to do. So pick up the podcast wherever you consume your podcast. That's Apple, Google, Spotify, Odyssey, and iHeartRadio. Wherever you consume them, that's where you can pick up the Snowman in the Morning podcast. As mentioned, tomorrow, Mike Debate will join me, and Chris Bates will join me at the top of hour 2, and we'll catch up.